Penguin Paradise. A cheerful melody spilled from Lily's lips as she carefully traversed the slick, simulated terrain of the penguin habitat, a pail brimming with shimmering fish swinging rhythmically. "Morning, you delightful bunch," she called, her voice bouncing off the cool, climate-controlled walls. Each bird was an individual to her, known not just by their tag but by their distinct quirks. There was Captain, ever the pompous little fellow, strutting with an air of exaggerated importance. Pip, brimming with endless fascination, pecked inquisitively at everything new. And dear Agnes, the elder stateswoman, who valued a gentle touch above all piscine delights. "Easy there, Captain, save some for the others." Lily chuckled, scattering the fish, ensuring Agnes received her share of the bounty. Observing their enthusiastic breakfast ritual was a source of profound satisfaction. This was more than a job, it was a vocation. Later, in her compact office overlooking the enclosure, Lily gave the presentation slides one last glance. Penguin Paradise, cultivating a flourishing colony, the title proclaimed in bold letters. She'd invested weeks in this project, delving into the optimal methods for stimulating the penguins' minds and bodies. Novel climbing frames, ingenious puzzle contraptions, even a fabricated iceberg, every detail was meticulously planned. The essence of her presentation went beyond mere avian contentment, though that was undeniably a core motivation. It was about enlightening the public, nurturing a more profound comprehension and respect for these remarkable creatures. Indifference was the true adversary, and Lily was committed to challenging it, one innovative enrichment program at a time. Her gaze drifted to the clock. 9:52 a.m. Only minutes until her meeting with Mr. Stern, the zoo director. A man governed by metrics, a stickler for budgetary constraints, yet Lily remained optimistic. She possessed the data to substantiate her proposition: heightened activity levels, diminished stress responses, enhanced reproductive success. A nervous flutter tickled her stomach, a blend of anticipation and apprehension. This program was her passion project, and she yearned for Mr. Stern to grasp its potential. She conjured his image, his brow furrowed in concentration, his lips pressed into a thin line, as he absorbed her vision. Would he truly understand? Would he authorize the necessary funding? Lily inhaled deeply, envisioning Agnes responding to her touch, Captain marching with regal bearing, Pip exploring a new plaything. She wouldn't fail them. She couldn't. This transcended mere budgets and breeding statistics, it was about forging a genuine penguin sanctuary within the city's grasp. Grasping her presentation folder, a spark of resolve ignited in her eyes. Time to venture into the director's office. The Zoom of Doom. Lily adjusted her webcam, a nervous flutter in her stomach that she desperately tried to squash. She smoothed down her already smooth blouse, took a deep breath, and clicked the link. Joining meeting, the screen announced. Mr. Stern's face popped up, his expression as severe and unreadable as ever. The background was, as always, his sterile office. No family photos, no personal touches, just a wall of diplomas and certificates. "Ms. Hayes," he said, his voice flat. "Thank you for joining." "Good morning, Mr. Stern," Lily replied, forcing a smile. Ready to present the latest findings on the enrichment program for the primates. She had poured weeks into this. She was certain the data would show a significant improvement in the animals' well-being. This was her chance to shine, to prove her worth to the zoo, especially after the recent whispers about potential layoffs. Mr. Stern steepled his fingers. "Yes, well, Ms. Hayes, there have been some unforeseen developments." Lily's smile faltered. Unforeseen developments? That couldn't be good. The knot in her stomach tightened. "As you know," Mr. Stern continued, his eyes flicking to something off-screen, "the zoo has been facing some budgetary constraints." He paused, as if waiting for her to interrupt. Lily remained silent, dread creeping up her spine. Effective immediately, he finally said, his voice devoid of any warmth or empathy, "Your position is being eliminated due to budget cuts." The words hit Lily like a physical blow. Eliminated. Budget cuts. After everything she'd done, all the hours, the passion, the dedication, gone. Just like that. Her carefully prepared presentation felt like a lead weight in her hands. She opened her mouth to speak, but no sound came out. She swallowed hard, trying to find her voice. But the program, the animals." Mr. Stern raised a hand, cutting her off. "Human resources will be in touch regarding severance." I wish you the best in your future endeavors, Ms. Hayes. He didn't sound like he wished her anything of the sort. Before Lily could even formulate a coherent response, Mr. Stern clicked a button. Her screen went black. She stared at the empty monitor, the fluorescent light of her apartment suddenly feeling harsh and unforgiving. The silence in the room was deafening. Her chest ached, a hollow, empty pain. It wasn't just a job, it was her passion, her purpose. And now, it was gone. Fired. Over Zoom. For budget cuts. A single tear escaped and traced a path down her cheek. It was a cold, bitter drop of disappointment and betrayal. She swiped it away angrily. This couldn't be the end. It just couldn't. Empty nest. Empty nest. Lily wandered through her apartment, a ghost in her own life. The silence was deafening, amplified by the absence of the usual morning Zoom call chatter. The apartment felt too big, the furniture too imposing. Even the sunlight streaming through the window seemed accusatory, highlighting the dust motes dancing in the air like mocking reminders of her idleness. She sank onto the sofa, the worn velvet cool against her skin. The severance package would last a month, maybe two if she was incredibly frugal. But after that, rent was due in a week, and the fridge held little more than half a jar of pickles and a wilted head of lettuce. Pip, at least, was blissfully unaware of the impending financial doom, happily spinning in his wheel. Lily shuffled to Pip's cage, her bare feet padding softly on the hardwood floor. "Hey, buddy," she murmured, offering him a sunflower seed. "We'll figure this out, right?" Pip stuffed the seed into his cheek pouches, his tiny black eyes gleaming. His simple needs were a comfort, a tangible problem she could solve, unlike the vast, shapeless anxiety swirling inside her. A framed photo on the bookshelf caught her eye. It was her, beaming, surrounded by penguins at the aquarium. She remembered the cool, fishy air, the slap of flippers on the ice, the sheer joy of watching those clumsy, elegant creatures waddle and dive. That job, working with the penguins, had been more than just a paycheck. It had been a passion, a purpose. She'd felt like she was contributing something meaningful, something beautiful. Now, she was just unemployed. She picked up the photo, tracing the outline of a penguin's sleek back with her finger. Maybe she could volunteer at the aquarium again. It wouldn't pay the bills, but it would be something. Anything was better than this suffocating emptiness. A sudden, sharp pain lanced through her stomach. Hunger. Real, gnawing hunger. She glanced at Pip's overflowing food bowl, then back at the nearly empty fridge. She really needed to get a grip. Pip needed his food, and she needed to find a solution, not wallow in self-pity. The penguins wouldn't want her to give up. They were survivors. And so was she. A peculiar invitation. Sunlight stabbed through the gap in Lily's curtains, a rude awakening after a night of tossing and turning. The image of Mr. Harrison's smug, pixelated face swam before her eyes again. Budget cuts. The words tasted like ash in her mouth. She burrowed deeper under the duvet, attempting to recapture the oblivion of sleep, but the gnawing anxiety was a relentless beast. Finally, defeated, she dragged herself out of bed. The aroma of stale coffee hung heavy in the air from yesterday's abandoned pot. She padded to the kitchen, her feet sticking slightly to the linoleum, and brewed a fresh batch, the rhythmic gurgle a small comfort. As she sipped her coffee, scrolling mindlessly through her phone, an email caught her eye. The subject line read, "Zoo volunteer opportunity, Penguin Pal interviews." It was from someone she didn't recognize, a Samantha Davies, with a generic Zoological Society email address. Intrigued, Lily tapped the email open. "Dear Ms. Lily Thompson, we are writing to you today with an exciting opportunity to contribute to the Metro City Zoo. As someone with a proven passion for animal welfare, particularly penguins, we would be honored if you would join us as a volunteer interviewer for the Penguin Pal program. The interviews are scheduled for next week, and we believe your unique insight would be invaluable in selecting the best candidates to assist our penguin care team. Please let us know if you are interested, and we will provide you with the interview schedule and candidate profiles. Sincerely, Samantha Davies." Volunteer coordinator Lily stared at the email, a knot of confusion tightening in her stomach. Proven passion, she muttered to her empty apartment. Was this some kind of sick joke? She'd been fired yesterday. How could they possibly be asking her to interview people? And for a position assisting the penguin care team, of all things. It was bizarre, almost insulting. Had Mr. Harrison not even bothered to inform the zoo that she was gone? A wave of anger washed over her, quickly followed by a strange sense of curiosity. What kind of qualifications did a penguin pal even need? And who were these aspiring penguin caregivers? Maybe this was a cosmic opportunity to assess the competition, or lack thereof. The interview circus. Lily hesitated at the zoo entrance, the scent of damp earth and exotic animals both familiar and unsettling. It felt like a lifetime ago she'd walked through these gates with purpose, not a summons to judge her former boss's replacement. She straightened her slightly crumpled blazer, a souvenir from the days when she had a real office job, and stepped inside. A harried-looking intern, her name tag askew, intercepted her near the flamingo enclosure. "Lily. Your interviews," she stammered, clutching a clipboard. Mr. Abernathy said, "Follow me." The interview room was a repurposed storage closet, cramped and smelling faintly of mothballs. 2 folding chairs faced a rickety table. The first candidate was already seated, a man whose face looked like he'd been chewing gravel for breakfast. He didn't bother to stand. "Name?" Lily asked, trying for a professional tone. "Harold," he grunted. "Harold Finch. And your qualifications for the position of zoo director?" Harold scowled. "Qualified enough. I've seen animals before." Lily exchanged a bewildered glance with the intern, who was now pretending to study the wall. "Could you perhaps elaborate?" "Look," Harold snapped, "I need a job. You need a director. Let's not waste each other's time." This wasn't going well. The next candidate was even more bizarre. A slender man with unnervingly still eyes and a rigid posture introduced himself as Unit 734. "My programming includes complete access to the Zoopedia database," he announced in a monotone. "I possess comprehensive knowledge of all extant and extinct species, their habitats, dietary requirements, and reproductive cycles." Lily blinked. "Are you a robot?" "I am an advanced automaton," Unit 734 confirmed. "Designed for optimal efficiency and data processing." "Right," Lily mumbled, scribbling furiously on her notepad. Efficiency was good, but she suspected a zoo director needed a bit more empathy. "And what is your opinion on the current state of the Sumatran orangutan population?" Unit 734's head tilted slightly. "Insufficient. Optimal population density requires a 17.4% increase. Recalculating." He trailed off into a low, whirring sound. Lily pinched the bridge of her nose. This was turning into a circus. MIA's mission. MIA breezed into the interview room, a vibrant splash of fuchsia scarf preceding her. "Lily, hello. Apologies for the overzealous entrance. Penguins do funny things to a person, right?" A kinetic energy radiated from her as she stood there, eyes alight with fervor. Lily, caught slightly off guard, returned the greeting with a smile. "Not at all, MIA. Please, sit down." She indicated the chair facing her desk, already teetering under the weight of MIA's impressively comprehensive application. Once settled, though the restless vibe remained, MIA refocused. "So, penguins. How can I contribute to enriching their lives?" Intrigued, Lily leaned forward. "We are eager for new perspectives. Our enrichment program is ripe for innovation. What ideas do you bring?" MIA didn't disappoint. She unfurled a tapestry of concepts, citing scholarly papers and nature documentaries with equal familiarity. Firstly, ice artistry. Beyond mere aesthetics, we are talking functionality. Consider icy chutes, interconnected grottos with regulated temperatures to mimic the changing seasons, even frozen dispensers that gradually release their fishy bounty, encouraging active hunting. Lily scribbled furiously, struggling to capture it all. "That's certainly ambitious." "Ambitious is good. And that's barely scratching the surface. We could cultivate artificial underwater kelp forests, offering refuge and stimulating predatory instincts. And then there are puzzle feeders. Penguins possess an intelligence often underestimated. We can construct challenges requiring them to solve problems for their meals." MIA's hands danced as she sketched intricate arrangements of levers and gears in the air. Lily felt a spark of something close to hope ignite within her. The prior candidate had suggested simply increasing their fish rations. MIA, however, grasped the intricate needs of these animals. And what about their social well-being? Lily inquired, genuinely interested. MIA's face lit up. Ah, that's where the real fun begins. We could introduce a variety of toys, buoyant spheres, reflective trinkets and observe their interactions. We could even project digitized footage of other penguin colonies onto the underwater viewing panels to pique their curiosity and maintain a connection to their wild counterparts. Lily watched, mesmerized, as MIA painted a portrait of a penguin utopia. For MIA, this was more than a job, it was a vocation. And Lily, who had initially viewed this role as merely transitional, felt a tremor of that same zeal. Perhaps, just perhaps, this place held the potential to be something truly extraordinary. She reached a decision. MIA, she stated, her voice resolute. I believe you're precisely what's been missing here. Stern surprise. Lily had just inquired about Brenda's database management proficiency when the conference room door burst inward, the force of the impact vibrating the cheap, framed platitudes adorning the walls. Mr. Stern filled the doorway, his breath coming in ragged gusts, his complexion florid. His tie remained cinched tight. What the hell is going on? He roared, the question ricocheting off the sterile walls. A knot of dread tightened in Lily's gut. A guard should have been posted. The door bolted. More than anything, she deserved the basic respect of a private dismissal. The oversight reignited her simmering resentment. He was utterly incompetent. Incompetent at letting people go, incompetent at hiring, incompetent across the board, it seemed. Mr. Stern, Lily began, striving for composure, we're interviewing candidates. Interviewing? For what? Who authorized this charade? He shot a venomous glare at Brenda, who recoiled, visibly intimidated. I did, Lily replied, meeting his furious gaze head-on. For your replacement. A sound escaped Stern, a sputtering noise like a faulty engine struggling to turn over. My replacement? What nonsense is this? I'm not going anywhere. MIA, who'd been a silent observer from the periphery, moved forward. With all due respect, sir, she said, her tone surprisingly assertive, Lily's termination was yesterday. We naturally assumed you had been apprised of the, she paused, searching for the least inflammatory term, development. Stern's eyes flicked between Lily and MIA, the bluster momentarily eclipsed by a flicker of raw panic. Terminated? I know nothing about this. He stammered, yanking his tie tighter, choking himself in the process. The red in his face deepened to puce. Then perhaps a glance at your inbox is in order, Mr. Stern, MIA suggested, her voice now edged with steel. Or better yet, permit us to resume the task of finding someone capable of actually performing your duties. A pulse throbbed visibly at Stern's temple. You can't do this. I'm in charge. I'll have both of you sacked. MIA gave a short, dismissive laugh. You're hardly in a position to terminate anyone, Mr. Stern. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a business to salvage. She gestured toward the exit, a silent command to leave. Stern remained frozen for a moment, rendered speechless, his face a study in baffled rage. Then, with a guttural noise of pure frustration, he spun on his heel and stormed out, slamming the door with even greater vehemence. The posters rattled once more, one finally succumbing to gravity and hitting the floor with a sharp crack. Lily stared at the empty doorway, a strange blend of relief and trepidation flooding her senses. This was far from resolved. The penguin protectors. Mr. Stern's face was a roadmap of confused fury. This is preposterous. You can't just waltz in here and, he sputtered, searching for a suitably damning word. Suddenly, the door swung inward again, and the room filled with the muted hues of familiar faces in zoo uniforms. Maya, the rhino handler, stood at the front, her usually jovial face set in a determined line. Behind her were others, the reptile specialist, the giraffe feeder, even old Mrs. Higgins from the gift shop, her floral scarf slightly askew. We'd like a word, Mr. Stern, Maya announced, her voice surprisingly firm. He puffed up like a threatened blowfish. What is the meaning of this intrusion? I have important matters to discuss with Miss Lily. Maya ignored him, turning to Lily. We heard what happened yesterday. About the budget cuts. She made air quotes with her fingers. We weren't buying it for a second. A ripple of murmurs went through the assembled staff. Lily's heart hammered in her chest. She had no idea what was happening. So, Maya continued, we did something about it. We staged a, well, let's call it a strongly worded demonstration outside Mr. Abernathy's office this morning. Refused to work until he listened. Mr. Stern's face paled beneath his tan. You what? You're telling me you abandoned your posts? The animals. The animals were fine, Mrs. Higgins chirped, surprisingly sharp. We had it all organized. Besides, she added with a wink, Mr. Abernathy cares more about good PR than he does about the actual animals. Maya cleared her throat. Anyway, the point is, he listened. And he made a decision. Mr. Stern, she turned back to the flustered man, it seems he's reconsidering your position here. Mr. Stern's bluster evaporated. Reconsidering? What does that mean? Before Maya could answer, the door opened a third time and Mr. Abernathy himself stood there, looking decidedly uncomfortable. Stern, he said, avoiding eye contact. We'll discuss this later. In my office. He gestured vaguely. Then, he turned to Lily, a strained smile plastered on his face. Lily, about that offer. I'd like to amend it slightly. We've decided that Mr. Stern's departure creates an opening. A management position. Head of the penguin enclosure. The penguins, he said with forced enthusiasm, need a strong leader. And after seeing your dedication, I believe you're the perfect fit. Lily was speechless. Head of the penguin enclosure. Mr. Stern's job. It was a whirlwind of disbelief and elation. She looked at Maya, at Mrs. Higgins, at all the faces, their expressions a mixture of triumph and solidarity. You did this, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Maya grinned. We are the penguin protectors, Lily. We look after our own. A new chapter. The director's office felt less intimidating now, bathed in the afternoon sun. Mr. Abernathy beamed. So, Lily, have you made a decision? Lily took a deep breath, the faint scent of old books and polished wood strangely comforting. Yes, Mr. Abernathy. I accept the position. His smile widened, revealing a hint of yellowed teeth. Excellent. Excellent. I knew you were the right person for the job. Now, about filling your old role. Lily had already considered this. I have someone in mind. MIA. She's currently volunteering and she has a remarkable connection with the penguins. Passion like that is rare. Mr. Abernathy rubbed his chin. MIA. Yes, I've seen her. All right, bring her in. Let's see what she's got. Lily found MIA near the penguin enclosure, sketching furiously in a notebook. MIA, Mr. Abernathy wants to meet you. I think I have a proposition you might like. MIA's eyes widened as Lily explained the penguin pal assistant position. Seriously? Are you serious? I don't know what to say. Say yes, Lily chuckled. The penguins need you, and frankly, so do I. I can't do this alone. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Lily, juggling administrative duties and the urgent needs of the penguin colony, relied heavily on MIA's enthusiasm and knowledge. MIA, with her infectious energy, researched penguin enrichment programs from around the world. They brainstormed ideas, underwater tunnels, climbing structures mimicking rocky coastlines, even a penguin-sized disco ball for visual stimulation. Their biggest challenge was the budget. But Lily, drawing on her experience, creatively reallocated funds, securing donations from local businesses, and even organizing a Pause for Penguins fundraising run. Slowly, the penguin enclosure transformed. Boulders were arranged to create varied terrain, a repurposed fishing net became a climbing frame, and a chiller unit maintained the perfect icy temperature. MIA even convinced a local fishmonger to donate slightly past prime but still safe herring, enriching the penguins' diet. The results were immediate and undeniable. The penguins, once listless and withdrawn, began to thrive. They splashed and played in the water, waddled with newfound energy across the rocks, and even seemed to enjoy the disco ball's shimmering light. The air buzzed with the happy squawks of penguins exploring their revitalized home. Visitors flocked to the enclosure, captivated by the penguins' antics. Lily, watching Mia interact with the birds, a wide, genuine smile on her face, knew they were on the right track. The zoo felt alive again.